Well, happy December 26th and welcome to day one of the 12 days of articles in review. I did this last year and got some really good feedback, so I'm hoping that you find this valuable this time around as well. So trying a little bit of a different approach. Instead of me anchored to my chair, I'm going to do these reviews in different cool locations around Boston. Unfortunately, today is just too bitterly cold for me to head on outside. We got hit with a bunch of snow yesterday and made it a lovely white Christmas. But so I'm going to open up this series with a really awesome article written by Flacking et al. These are the folks that have done a lot of investigation about the closeness, parental closeness with infant, and how it impacts parental well-being, infant outcomes, and that sort of thing. This more recent paper that I'm sharing with you guys takes what's called a salutogenic approach to the research. So instead of trying to find out everything that's wrong and provide feedback to clinicians about what not to do, this strategy in this particular paper interviewed parents to try and understand what were those aspects of the care and opportunities that they had that made them feel close to their baby. Not just physically close, but emotionally close. Lots of other papers out there discuss the importance of that connection, that human connection with parents and their babies, and how that really impacts not only the short-term bonding and attachment thing, but also long-term outcomes. I actually was just recently checking out a paper that looked at NICU mother's level of anxiety during the NICU stay, and how that impacted the relationship between the infant and the parent in the post-discharge period. So, and I'll share that article with you a couple days down the road. But this was a really interesting approach. I liked the positive bent around the research, using that salutogenic modality, if you will, for the interview, and really trying to identify what supports a sense of well-being and a sense of health. And so what they discovered during the interviews, they looked at NICU parents in 3 different countries. It was Finland, Sweden, and England that they had their cohort from, and there were small ends from each facility, but what they noticed was that there were some recurring themes regardless of the geographic location of these families. 2 of the NICUs were level 3, 1 of them was a level 2, but regardless of that dimension of their experience, the things that they identified really came together, and the authors then organized what they called this pathway to emotional wellness. And I'm just gonna flip over to the graphic here so I can hopefully give you a little more information. So here we go. Here's my technical challenges of operating this thing while I'm on the computer, but it's just really fascinating that the themes that arose from their research really talked about spending time and bonding as a family, the sense of an embodied recognition of being a parent. And an embodied recognition is when you feel like you're being a parent, or when you feel like you're cared for, or you feel that you're being valued. That whole sense of not just a cognitive, yep, I'm the parent, but a genuine feeling and sense of that was a really key aspect that the parents recognized. And things that supported that sense of embodiment revolved around the physical proximity of the infant. Certainly, there were several mentions of the sense of kangaroo care. One parent said she had a sense of freedom when her infant was actually brought to her for kangaroo care, and feeding tubes and lines and things were removed. So those types of things. Now, certainly that can't happen all the time. You know, it certainly depends on what the medical needs are of the infant. But as much as we can promote that and support that and actually set that as the expectation, that really helps parents recognize their critical role and that validation of who they are as parent to this infant, regardless of their medical or surgical situation. The other bits were reassurance. and their ability to contribute to the infant's care. So, that whole idea about partnering with parents, their presence on rounds, their, presence at change of shift. And I know those are trigger points for some folks and stuff like that, but just whatever those certain situations are that create an opportunity for you to partner with the parent and get their insight, get their input, give them obviously an opportunity to ask questions, but they're making observations that you may never have the opportunity to do, because a lot of times when we're interacting with the infant, it's all about some kind of a task, it's about some procedure, it's something that needs to be done to support them from a medical or surgical perspective, whereas the parent is certainly interested in that dimension, but they're going to make observations and assessments of those nuances of who that infant is and what's working and what's not, and those subtle cues that parents are definitely going to dial into and then share their observations with you that are going to be really helpful for you as a clinician to connect with the infant and of course with the family as a fellow human being, as somebody else who's on this journey, and recognize that the therapeutic value that we bring to these patients goes well beyond our technical proficiencies, but it really revolves around our empathic connection and our acknowledgement of the crisis that they're enduring and how we, just as a human being, can help them, can reassure them and support them. The other bits that were on that global pathway were feeling engaged in the day-to-day care and an understanding the present and the past. So, a lot of parents feel guilty, they feel bad, they feel, they're questioning themselves and all that kind of stuff. And that is, it's part of their story, and that is their past, and they need to be present and move forward and embrace those wonderful opportunities that they have. And it's unique to them as a parent to connect with their baby, to reassure their baby, to know that their baby knows that they're present, and that nonverbal soul-to-soul communication that happens with people that love each other, that are connected with each other, that care for each other in a very unique and deep way. And so I really recommend this article. I think it's a great place to start the year off in really understanding what are those things that help parents transition and embrace their identity as a parent. Yes, a critically ill child, but their child. And how do we foster that? How do we put our stuff behind and really recognize the biological relevance of this very crucial and first relationship with the family and the baby? So when I do this wrap up for the video, I'll have the citation, and this is actually an open access paper, I think it is. I'll give you the link to that as well. And if it's not, I'll send you on to the PubMed reference. So I welcome your feedback. Hope this is cool. Hope the next few videos will be more geographically entertaining than my office. But nonetheless, have a wonderful day, and see you later.